It's the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
These are the final seconds.
The lead in the fourth. Can they hold on to it?
That do or die time. And everything rides on one shot. But it isn't going to be that easy.
And it's a one-point game.
This is down to the wire.
They're going to try the three-pointer attempt.
One shot to take you to the top. One winner. This is clutch basketball. That's the NBA playoffs. That's game.
This episode of Locked On White Sox is brought to you by Rock Auto. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, and all the parts your car will ever need. Visit rockauto.com and tell them Locked On sent you.
White Sox! White Sox! Go, 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 go!
Call your sons, call your daughters. Holy cow! You can't put it on the board! Yeah! It's a perfect game! Conejo, grand slam! A White Sox winner and a world championship! Jimenez, he's your hero tonight! Thanks, Cubs!
The dynamic duo of Herb Lawrence and Chris Tannehill.
Those two are like a tag team, you know?
Come with me to the south side of Chicago.
Hi, this is Jim Thome, and the best White Sox talk is on Locked On Sox podcast with Tanny and Herb.
Hello, and welcome back to Locked On Sox. My name is Herb Lawrence, Ecknerwall23 on Twitter. Chris Tannehill is at Chris Tannehill on Twitter, and our show is Locked On Sox on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. If you go there and subscribe, maybe you can get a Locked On Sox prize pack sent out by Chris Tannehill. 312-566-8727 is the way you reach us for our voicemail, or old school, lockedonsox@gmail.com if you just want to write us a letter about the White Sox, baseball, whatever you want to write. Without further ado, here is Chris Tannehill. Chris, how was your weekend?
Oh, it was fine. I spent it out in Galena with the family, and got in tune with nature. I walked the Eagle Ridge golf course there, and there was a place called Stony Point Lookout. Hello, welcome to my point for all you Point fans out there. I did that and just hung out and had a real weekend. How about you? How's the new dog? How's Fido doing? Fido was an odd choice, I think, for you to name the dog.
Very much so. Ziggy is doing well.
Oh,
he is
love
a
that.
8-week-old corgi, and he's kind of a jerk, like all dogs are. Got a lot of energy, a lot of nippy, biting. Got to get him out of that. We're going to obedience classes in like 2 weeks, but in the interim, we're trying to teach him how to pee on pee pads and things like that and go outside eventually. But, it's fun. We've had him for 2 or 3 days here now, and just cleaning up poop and piss, things like that, and trying to stop him from biting things. It's all good.
Yeah, man. Welcome to adulting, and it's your warm up for having a baby. So congratulations on that. I would argue that a baby can often be easier to care for than a puppy at this stage. So just get through this tough part, and I think you'll be okay. But glad to hear. I'm sure that's not all bad. I'm sure it's causing giving you guys a lot of happiness, and
it sleeps through the night.
Cute as a sumbitch. I saw a photo.
Like we put him in the crate, and he's like, we elevate it so he can see us in the bed, and then he goes to sleep and doesn't wake up until we wake up, which is awesome.
That's
I was
great,
like, man. That's pure bliss. The whoever was training him has him crate trained, and he is pretty much a good dog when it's time to go to sleep, and he sleeps a lot. Like these puppies sleep all day long. Like when he's up, he's ripping and roaring. But he sleeps like 5 times a day, which is awesome. I wish I had his life.
Yeah, that's good, man. If it's crate trained, that's a good step right there. Because I remember some horror stories of dogs throughout my life that just did not like being in the crate. And then you're all that stuff you're talking about cleaning out from the pee pads and all that stuff. You're cleaning that. You're scrubbing out the inside of the crate because the dog freaks out in there. So that's good. All right, but. Episode 200 today, man. So I can't believe. I know, right? I thought about doing something special for this show, but what more special? It's a big week here, man. Like we're ramping up to opening day here just in a couple of days, and I can't wait. The 2021 season is upon us, and this is a landmark episode for us, but we're gonna just do what we do. And today I would like to talk about Lucas Giolito. And we're going to set the stage for him in 2021. I believe we had him as our Cy Young Award winner. And, it's just going to be a big year for Lucas. 2020, 4-3 with a 3.48 earned run average. He was a wins above replacement of 0.8. Of course, the no-hitter with one of the great sports moments of the year, in my eyes anyway, just being a White Sox fan. Of course, the great 8 innings pitched against the A's in the wild card game of 1-run ball, 8 strikeouts, and then in his final tune-up this spring, as he shuts it down in Glendale, 9 strikeouts the other day. So, Lucas Giolito, he's ready to go. He looks really good here early in the spring. And I sort of wanted to talk about this issue that's been looming over this whole White Sox post-rebuild era, where the White Sox are in the Lucas Giolito window. It's not about anyone else, but I say that because everyone else is locked up. But Giolito, being the guy who has not been given a team-friendly extension or any type of extension for that matter, he's the guy that you're trying to plan and get your best teams in order until Lucas is scheduled to be an unrestricted free agent at the end of 2024. Excuse me, at the end of 2023, he's an unrestricted free agent. So, we always talk about how you are in your championship window as long as Lucas Giolito is in a White Sox uniform because of his ability just to be a number one guy in your rotation, a guy that can shut out an opponent any given night, and especially in the postseason, which is what we finally got to saw in 2020. So he's a special dude out there on the bump. And also, we love him for a lot of different reasons as well. This is Lucas Giolito speaking to a nonprofit organization earlier on this spring. We didn't talk about this much. We didn't have time to get to it, but this is Lucas speaking to a group called Lost Boys Incorporated, where their goal is to decrease violence, improve the social and emotional conditions, and provide financial opportunities among the youth in Chicago's South Shore community. So Lucas did a surprise pop-up for these kids on a Zoom, and he was asked a very poignant question about sort of pitching in these big games, and here's what he said.
If you're feeling scared or nervous, yes, I'll let you guys know on a little secret. You want to hear a secret? Yeah. I get nervous before every single game I play. Every single one. And do you know what I tell myself when I start to feel nervous before a game? I'm nervous because I'm nervous because I care, because I want to do well. If I wasn't nervous, then that means I wouldn't care about how I'm going to do. So for me, a big change that I made, the last question was about how I became better, was learning to embrace that, learning to be okay with the fact that I'm nervous and I'm a little bit scared for this game, because at the end of the day, it means that I really want to go out and do well. So any of you that feel nervous before a baseball game or another sport or a big test at school or anything like that, just know that you're nervous because you want to do well. And you can turn that nervousness into very positive energy to get you through whatever you're about to do.
So it was very cool. You may have seen that video floating around social media of Lucas taking time out to talk to the kids, and they seem really excited. Finally, a White Sox face bringing out joy in the young in these young faces is something we haven't seen in a while. But of course, Giolito being right there with TA in terms of guys that are leaders on this team, not only on the field but in the community. But then James Fegan asked Lucas Giolito sort of about that. The pitching with nerves and how he goes on and how he sort of prepares for these starts. And there was a very interesting comparison to who Lucas Giolito kind of models the mental side of his game after. And here it is.
Lucas, I had a question about the thing you said about being nervous to the Lost Boys. You mentioned that it's okay to be nervous because it's your mind basically showing that you care. You mentioned that there's a way to turn that into positive energy. So how do you turn that into positive energy? Because that seems like the next big step.
I might misquote him, but Kobe Bryant said, make those butterflies fly in formation. You know, for me, you know, I have a little bit of that before every game, even a spring training game. Obviously, it's heightened during the season and especially in the playoffs. But just it's kind of going back to what I was saying to Cheryl, but completely trusting my routine and trusting the preparation I have before the start allows me to look at the nervousness, butterflies, whatever you want to call it, and kind of see it as just more fuel. You know, I'm nervous before this game because I really want to win. And I just feel like with all the training I've done with my brain, I can kind of see that, realize it, kind of look at it for what it is, as opposed to letting it control me, and just turn that into focus, turn it to aggression towards the strike zone, and just go out and do my thing.
So Lucas, being a Southern California kid, drawing inspiration from the late, great Kobe Bryant, I just thought that was really interesting, and no better time to share that than on this episode, where we're going to explore something that has been rumored. Jeff Passan had reported a few weeks ago that the White Sox were in talks with Lucas Giolito and Andrew Vaughn about a potential extension, but they haven't been able to reach with either of those guys. And one thing, Herb, I think maybe we mentioned it at the time, but you remember when we talked to his dad, or we didn't speak to him, he was with us on the panel at 108 Fest, and Rick Giolito. And remember that story that Rick said about Lucas's time as a high school kid before he was about to sign that contract with the Nationals? You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
What Rick Giolito said, Herb, if you remember, was when Lucas was a teenager and they were about to sign out of high school with the Nationals, they basically made the Nationals wait till the very last second so they can get every last dollar out of Mike Rizzo's Washington Nationals. And Lucas bet on himself, and he was a kid with, very real high pedigree coming out of high school, a number one pick, and of course had the Tommy John later on. But the moral of the story is he believed in himself every step of the way, and it ended up paying off, not with the Nationals, but in his career. Now he's the number one guy in the White Sox rotation, and, it's time for him to get paid again, this time not out of high school, but this time we're talking about a possible contract extension for the White Sox. So I'll just ask you this. We'll talk about what we think a possible Giolito extension could look like, what it should look like, what it may look like, if it'll even happen at all. But if you're put your Teflon suit on, you're Rick Hahn today, Herb. Are you actively really trying to sign Lucas Giolito to a contract extension?
Yes. One of the reasons why is because you've worked with him, and now you see the fruits of your labor coming to fruition. To get him on a inexpensive deal, Lucas Giolito, 26, 27 years old? 26 years old this year, not even hit his prime. And you have the guy who unlocked his potential when he was in high school, and now after the 2018 season, which was a travesty for him, it was bad. He was one of the worst pitchers in Major League Baseball, went back and got the tutelage from Ethan Katz to get him to be one of the top pitchers in baseball the next year, and he's continued that in 2020. And so if I was on Rick Hahn's side and Katie Williams and Jerry Reinsdorf's side, I'm looking at Lucas Giolito as a prime candidate to overspend right now so you can get his services for the next 4 to 5 years. You're taking all of his prime years and you're getting all of that right now. And I know the White Sox like to cry poor, and no, they don't like to sign pitchers to more than 4 years. But specifically towards Lucas Giolito, there's a pitcher that's exactly like him, that profiles exactly like Lucas Giolito, that just signed an extension for 5 years. And I think that number might be a little bit low, but you don't have to go too much more higher than what Lance McCullers Jr. just signed for, a 5-year, $85 million contract. And I know you're out there like, Lance McCullers Jr., look at the numbers. That man has about the similar career as Lucas Giolito. He's a year older, 5 years, 85 million. It's about 17 million a year. So in that range, I think the White Sox and Lucas Giolito, a guy like Lance McCullers Jr., who's had injury problems out of high school, he had the Tommy John surgery. So if I'm a pitcher, I'm always looking to sign an extension to get some generational wealth, even though he is coming from good money. Rick Giolito and his mom, Lindsay Frost, one's an actor, one is an artist, and a great guy. Look, Rick Giolito on that 108 Fest. Man, I fell in love that day with him. I can understand why his son is such the great guy that he is, because I heard his mom speak and I've heard him speak. I'm like, man, of course they're gonna have great great kids. I'm sure Casey's a great kid too. So, but if I'm Lucas Giolito, I'm looking for somewhere in that ballpark of what Lance McCullers Jr. is, because they track about the same.
Okay, that's an interesting comp. I'm glad you brought that to the table. You said 5 and 85 for McCullers, right? So
yes,
there are some different ways to look at this. Just for a frame of reference here. So Giolito, his first arbitration year was this coming year. He's going to be getting paid just over $4 million this year. Then he's got the next 2 seasons are arbitration years, and then he's an unrestricted free agent in 2024. So there are some comps here. Let's just start with extensions given by the team to a starting pitcher, okay? And the one thing I always go back to when you think about this stuff, March 7th, 2013, it was the White Sox, actually, and they gave Chris Sale, hang on to your seats here, folks, when you hear about these dollars, okay, for Chris Sale. 5 years, $32.5 million for Chris Sale. Back in 2013. Rick Hahn, you did your damn thing with that deal, man. And then shortly thereafter, I think Quintana followed. I think Eaton was around the same time. But yeah, Rick Hahn was building the next rebuild in 2013. But he doesn't get it done without these team-friendly deals. But something tells me that you're going to have to do a lot better than that. And I know inflation and all that good stuff. And Chris Sale was in a little bit of a different spot than Giolito is now, but for 5 and 32.5 is not going to get it done for Lucas. But I went to some other notable extensions with guys earlier in their career. Clayton Kershaw. Now, granted, he already had 3 Cy Young awards and I think 3 or 4 All-Star appearances. Lucas just has the 1 All-Star appearance so far. In 2015, Kershaw was given an extension by the Dodgers, 7 years, $215 million. So let's start. That's the high end. Chris Sale's the low end. McCullers probably somewhere in the middle. And then obviously the Dodgers extended Kershaw in 2019 again, 3 for $93. And yeah, although Kershaw's been banged up a ton, but ultimately you're willing to keep that guy at any cost. He's the anchor of your World Series winning pitching staff now. But my point is, you do not want to wait for these guys to hit the open market, because Steven Strasburg, you may remember, in his age 31 season, signed with the Nationals. He re-signed, and he didn't get the team-friendly extension. I'm assuming they try to make that happen, but he ends up signing a deal for 7 years, $245 million, going into 2020. And then obviously the 2020 offseason pre-COVID, where all these pitchers are getting these big deals. Garrett Cole, the highest paid pitcher in all of baseball, 9 years, $324 million. So, you're not going to have to pay, even with inflation, you're not going to have to pay the Kershaw money, I don't think, over $200 million, because Kershaw just had a lot more skins on the wall at that point in his career. But at the same time, I think still you're going to have to, if you want to keep Lucas Giolito around, Herb, I predict if you want to keep Lucas Giolito here, you're going to have to make him the first $100 million player in White Sox history. What do you think about that?
It's not too far off of where I was at, but I'm trying to think of Jerry Reinsdorf extending Lucas Giolito and giving him the $100 million that he hasn't given anybody ever. It's a perfect guy to do it with, because, like I said, he is entering his prime years. If you go by the 27 to 31, he'll be entering that next year. So it'll be a perfect time. And then the extension, if you were to do it now would probably start next year in 2022. So yeah, it's in the ballpark of where Lance McCullers is. Let's see, if you do 5 for $100 million, yeah, that works. I think
you read my mind. You read my mind, Herb. I was going to say your take it or leave it offer, like, before you break for LA and opening day, you want to get these talks out of the way before the season starts. Your final offer going into this season. The Sox still have a couple more years to get this done, to extend them, but that your final offer to Lucas going into this year, it was right on the money with what I was thinking. 5 years, $20 million a piece for $100 million. That's my offer to Lucas. We're around the same then.
Yeah, and then I think if you're the White Sox, you don't re-engage. That's your offer. You stay right there because
you mean ever, or just like for this season?
Just for this season. Okay. This is it. That's it. You're not gonna you're not gonna negotiate during the season. And it might be the best deal that Lucas Giolito can get pre-ARB. I mean, free agency. If I'm Lucas Giolito, I'm jumping at that opportunity. Absolutely jumping. I can get out when I'm 32 and still have one more decent contract, especially if I deal in these 5 years. And good security, knowing where I'm going to be for the next couple of years. With the Lance McCullers deal, he got a limited no trade deal too. So, that has value too, to know that you're going to be in one city and they can't leverage that against you. They can't, just all of a sudden, okay, we're not competing anymore. Let's trade this asset off like they did with Chris Sale or Jose Quintana. The fact that he can be in a place that he's set up roots at, he's in the community, he's reaching the children, the youth, and to have the security of $20 million a year, knowing you're the ace of the staff, feels good. For the White Sox, cost certainty. Yeah, you're going way over the number that he's going to make. He's making $4 million this year. Next year, I don't know. It won't be at the $20 million level at any times in this arbitration period, I don't believe. But you're banking on that money being a solid investment in the pitcher, the player, and then it trickling down to all the rest of the players on the team and saying, okay, guys, we see what we've done with Eloy. You see what we've done with Luis Robert, Yohan Moncada, Tim Anderson. You perform for the White Sox, you're going to get paid. Before your arbitration, we're going to pay you. They've even had the conversations, and I think it's more of a service time thing about Andrew Vaughn trying to get an extension, which I was really opposed to because he's never played past A-ball. But I think the White Sox are best served by offering him this deal. And if he turns it down, he turns it down. You still have him for 3 more years at least. But it's good business. And like you said, you let him go to free agency. He's 31 or 29, I think, at that time. You think Lucas Giolito is not going to be highly sought after, and then you're going to have to pay that big money, like maybe not Strasburg number, but in that neighborhood, in the 150 million neighborhood, I think he's going to get paid if he's the pitcher that I and you and I think most Sox fans think that he's going to be in the next couple of years.
Yeah, so recent vintage here for starting pitchers that are kind of in the ballpark. Darvish a few years back with the Cubs, 6 years, 126. You look at DeGrom, got 5 for 137. Patrick Corbin is on this list, famously 6 years, 140 million. So these
Luke is going to be a much better pitcher than Patrick Corbin.
Absolutely. So I'm kind of looking at that as well. So yeah, man, like this is a guy that you got to have around to extend this window, keep it open for you, especially if he continues to deal. We love him for a lot of reasons. We love him for forgetting Danny Parkins' name.
I forget who's interviewing him. Whoever's interviewing him just baited him.
Talking about Tim Anderson, his fucking "we're the best team in the American League" comments. We love him for a lot of reasons, but yeah, if I'm Rick Hahn, my drop, my final offer heading into opening day, I think I'm gonna go 5.25 per. So that's what, 125 million. That's my offer for this year. I think that's right. If my public school math, right. Yeah. So 5 and 25. That'd be pretty hard to pass up if I'm Lucas Giolito. But also, if he's going to bet on himself again, he could probably get more once he hits the open market. So we hope it doesn't get to that point, because 2022, I'm really nervous about this rotation. Granted, we sit here now before opening day. We don't know what kind of year Dylan Cease is going to have. We don't know how Kopech is in the fold next year, but Giolito is the one that makes this rotation top heavy, and you need him in a postseason series, because especially in a short series, that you're number one, and you can debate me all day long on the validity of Giolito being a number one or not. I think we had that conversation going into last year. Like they had the list. I think it was The Athletic had the list of who is a bona fide ace, and Giolito was on that next tier. And that was before last year. Now he's got the no-hitter to the resume. He's got the outstanding performance in the postseason. So I think now if they redid that column, I think he would be in that ace category. So that's a guy that you want to have around here and extend your championship window. Any last thoughts on Lucas before we take a quick time out here, Herbie?
I just think that, like you were bringing up the point about his dad and saying that they waited until the last second for Mike Rizzo to blink and got all the money they can get out of him. He doesn't need the money. He comes from wealth. Harvard Westlake, his family has money. His grandfather was an actor. He's fine. And I don't think he's motivated necessarily by money either. So he can take a chance on himself. And I think Lucas will see like the offer the White Sox have for him and say, I like it. It's good. And I appreciate him. But I'm cool. I don't need to. I even if I don't, hit the standard that I am set for myself, I think I'll be fine. But I think he's also, as we saw in the playoff game, that motivation, that bulldog, that drive. He's always looking to get better. He's always looking to succeed. And I think, he said it after that first game, where he gave up the home runs to Max Kepler. He's like, I wasn't prepared. I wasn't ready. And that'll never happen again. When I take my bullpens, I'll take them serious. Like it's the first inning. Like I'm pitching in the game right there. And I think he has that mentality of, I'm going to be better than everybody in the game. So whether they pay me 20, 25, 30, I don't care. They're going to have to come to the table when it's time for me to get paid. And so I think he's going to bet on himself, ultimately reject whatever offers are out there, and then take himself to free agency, which is his right. If I was advising him, injuries are always a problem. Just take the money. John Danks thought he was going to be great too. He took the $50 million for his extension, and the shoulder problems persisted. You'd never know.
What about Danks? We'll take a quick time out. When we come back, we'll open up the mailbag and recap my loss in the 108 tourney. Stay here on Locked On White Sox. Locked On White Sox is brought to you by our friends at rockauto.com. Folks, summer is coming. Believe it or not, yes, summer's almost here. And the number one thing you want to do is make sure your vehicle is ready to get out there and hit the road. So when you're looking for those auto parts to make sure your car's running tip-top shape, why go to one of those chain stores and get the auto parts when they have all the parts your car is ever going to need at rockauto.com? You see, it's good to maintain your car, but one of the best reasons to do so is to save money, right? You don't want to be stranded out there on the road this summer with your family when you could have fixed a simple problem with a little preventative maintenance. So go to rockauto.com and find those parts that your car is going to need to stay on the road and stay safe and have fun out there. I bet you didn't know, though, that chain stores have different price tiers for do-it-yourselfers and folks like you and I. But rockauto.com's prices, they're always the same for everybody, and best of all, they're always reliably low. Rockauto.com always offers the lowest prices possible rather than charging prices on what the market will bear, sort of like how airlines do. Rockauto.com is for everybody and does not require membership or account logging in. No more fiddling around with passwords and login info and sending yourself emails. No more. That's done. You just go in there to rockauto.com, find the parts you're looking for, add them to your cart, buy them, and wait for them to arrive at your doorstep in a timely manner. Best of all, rockauto.com is a family business, and they've been serving auto parts customers online for over 20 years. So go to rockauto.com to shop for auto and body parts from hundreds of manufacturers. And do us a favor, won't you, when you go to rockauto.com, write Locked On in their How'd You Hear About Us box so they know that we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, and all the parts your car will ever need at rockauto.com.
This episode is brought to you by HP Plus. In a world full of smart devices, shouldn't your printer be smart too? It is with HP Plus. These printers know when they're running low, so you always get the ink you need delivered right when you need it. Plus, you save up to 50% on ink, so you can print whatever you want, as much as you want, anytime you want. Huh, that is pretty smart. Get 6 free months of instant ink when you choose HP Plus. Conditions apply. Visit hp.com/smart for details.
We're covering everything you need to know about the White Sox, but what about the rest of sports? Now, the Locked On Podcast Network has you covered there as well with Locked On Today. It's hosted by the great Peter Bukowski, and it's all the sports news you need every morning in under 20 minutes. Follow Locked On Today podcast wherever you get your podcasts. All right, Herbie, so Layla, she brought me down. She beat me the other day in the 108 tourney, and she beat Beef Loaf today in the 108 tourney. I said this on Twitter, but Layla is like the Ghetto Boys in 1991. She can't be stopped, and I see no reason why she shouldn't just, plow right through the rest of this tourney here in this field and become the 108 champion. God bless her. The last person from the score standing, and no better person out there than to hold the title. But man, Layla is a force to be reckoned with, folks.
Yeah, I said on Twitter, it's like that meme that goes around where the Grim Reaper is going to door, and she killed me first, and then she killed you, and then today she killed Beef Loaf, and now she's knocking on somebody else's door.
Layla is the entity from the Crossroads video, going up and killing Uncle Charles, y'all.
Uncle Charles, man. Uncle Charles, dog.
That's Layla right now, and it's not going to end anytime soon, man. That was quite a battle. So just a little backstory quickly here about my loss to Layla. That got my untimely exit, the way I see it, in that 108 tourney. But again, I was playing with house money, so we're driving up to Galena on Saturday morning, the family and I had thought that my matchup with Layla was on Monday. So I got the days wrong. So plus, I don't know if, even if I did know it was the correct day and I got out in front of it, I was so busy packing and getting on the road, I got in a big hole early there. And usually that's the one common thread is with these 108 votes, I'm out there active, getting those early votes, because I think those early votes, they matter a lot. Every vote matters, obviously, but getting ahead of it and getting yourself on steady ground before the afternoon takes hold and it's out of your control, really. I missed that opportunity to get out to I got into an early hole because I just was inactive on Twitter. It wasn't until about noon, so 3 or 4 hours passed, and I'm outside of Rockford in a McDonald's parking lot, and I'm like, oh no, I'm getting my doors blown off here by Layla, so I got to get it together, and then I see our boss, Mitch Rosen, saying, it's tough, but to pick between like a son and a daughter, and then Cowley saying, the daughter's the only one's going to take care of you when you're old and sick, so sorry, Tanny. So like, it was like I was just fighting against it, man, the entire afternoon, but I rallied. I threw every trick in the book. I did not offer out the prize pack, which I really regret not doing. I had some good content from the Locked On Sox Twitter account with Layla and a picture with the Astros mascot, but ultimately, man, like I tied it up with minutes to go. I'm texting my boys like, hey, could you please vote for me? Like, I know you don't care about this dumb shit, but here, just click on this thing and vote for me. Like, people who have no like dog in the fight whatsoever, but they're like, yeah, man, sure, anything. And then all of a sudden, I think my activity in the final minutes cost me, because Layla, of course, did not tweet at all, didn't have to. She just got all these votes from not tweeting, which is remarkable. And then I think people saw my aggressiveness and they voted against me in the end. I think that's what happened. And also, Layla, after the fact, said, I can't believe that Tanny didn't win, blah, blah, blah. There should be a recount, this, that, and the third. But also, where was my tweet that you got before you guys faced off, where she actively told people to vote for you? I didn't get that luxury. I thought that was interesting. Don't you?
I think it was interesting too. She wanted that dub. She wanted to beat you.
Why wouldn't she? And I don't blame her for wanting it. I wanted to win. Like, if you're going to be a part of something, you might as well try and win it. But yeah, just an exit for me.
I take solace in the fact that she only beat me by 4 percentage points. You by what, 1, if that?
Yeah, it wasn't even a full. It was like 4. I think it was 0.4 of a point or something like that. So
yeah, she murdered Beef Loaf. Like, she got like 57%, and that man is running the thing.
Yeah,
running the 108 tournament. Murdered you, Beef Loaf. Sorry, man. I feel better that I came at least close.
Yeah,
and now I'm going to lose to the champion, and that's fine. I'm fine with losing to the champion.
Sorry, Beef Loaf. Get him a body bag. Yeah. I will say this.
One thing I gotta share, like we're recording this on was it Monday night?
Yeah.
And our guy Hector Gomez said that Eloy's injury is not as serious as first.
God! I think was it Socks on 35th who said Hector #Hector season because Hector Gomez also Hector also tweeted the other day about how the Sox were looking at Puig and who was the other? Was it Cespedes? Was the other one?
Yeah.
So people were tweeting that saying, "Oh, it's Hector season." You know what I mean? Greg Gabriel, our buddy and former coworker, the former Bears scouting director, would call it lying season. I think that's what the NFL people call it. But yeah, so I didn't see that. That's news to me.
But just 16 minutes ago, even though he blocked me on Twitter, our colleague John Heyman said Eloy Jimenez pectoral tear was confirmed. I can see these tweets still, John. I mean, if you're listening, like I just go on Google and I see your tweets.
No, you're still blocked.
Eloy Jimenez pectoral tear was confirmed. Surgery tomorrow. 4 to 5 month recovery. So not as quite as serious as previously thought.
Okay.
So, it's not the 6 months. If he comes back in the 4, Hector was saying 3 months. So he was 3.5 months. He was very, very optimistic on it. And if it's 3.5 months, baby, let's go. We get the second half of Eloy.
All right, let's calm down. Let's calm down here. I think if you
Hector would never lie to us, man.
Never. It's never happened. Just as far as Eloy goes, we don't have time to get to the emails today. We'll get to them before. We'll empty out the old bag. It's always a good thing to do, folks, before the season gets going here. But there's still Eloy thoughts coming in. Our man Paul chimed in. You know what? Maybe we'll get to it here. Our parting thought on Eloy here. Let's don't count on Eloy. If you get him, it's house money, and it'll be great. But I do worry about that's a football injury on a baseball player, and there's not a whole lot of track record here to go by to compare it to. And I don't need a comp to know if something's going to work or not. But it has me concerned. I'll be honest with you. Just the torn pec and what it does to impact his swing. Like I'm nervous about that, but I have no doubt with modern medicine, like there's, that he'll be able to recover and, they'll do a great job, obviously. But yeah, that part does have me nervous. And the way I see it is like, if as long as he's ready to go, by the end of September for the postseason, that's kind of what I'm hoping, because Rick Hahn, didn't guarantee that he'd be back, but he said they were hopeful that he'd be back by September. So I'm gonna stick to that. But any moment before September, I'm really, really hesitant to try to plan for that. So take that with a grain of salt. And I'm just really cautiously optimistic on this one. But you know what? On the way out the door here, let's hear from our man Paul Correct, who kind of weighed in about Eloy and the injury and the 108 tourney, as we don't really discuss the 108 tourney much from this point on because of the season and because we're out of it. So here's what Paul Correct had to say.
Hey guys, Paul Correct here. I don't know. I live in Andersonville. I'm from Aurora. Anyway, I'll try to keep it. I have a million things to say. I'll try to keep it as brief as possible. First and foremost, Eloy, what the fuck is wrong with you? Eloy is like the drunk girlfriend, or the girlfriend that you love when she's sober. But when she gets drunk, it's like, okay, oh shit, take her home. Like, don't leap over a fence and tear your not bicep tendon, but your tendon and your tit. Don't do that. You're drunk. You're dumb. But you're sweet and we love you. It's a bummer and I hate it. Herb, good work now. You've realized that you're on vacation and you're not, like drunk or stoned when you do the podcast now. It sounded better, buddy. Love you, man.
Should have heard tonight.
What else?
Exactly.
In terms of left field, Vaughn's not going to be the answer. I kind of want to call Grobber, because I'm a bartender. I'm going to call Grobber. I'm going to try to do this. So Candy, listen for it. I'm going to try to call Grobber and be the Chicago guy and just be like, yeah, I think they should put Vaughn in left. He'll be fine. Anyway, I don't think he'll be fine. We will be fine because I love Engel and Candy. I love your take on that.
Yay.
Because give Engel some more at-bats and some more playing time. Good stuff. I think that might be it. I mean, I have more things. Oh, I don't know. Candy, I don't know your fascination with this Teresi guy. I think he's one of the 108 guys, probably. Candy, come on. You're better than this. You guys are both better than this. Also, Candy, you're lucky to be where you are in that tourney. Give me a break. You're lucky to be there. Okay? All right? Cat, like, I hate myself for even being, like, commenting on it. Don't worry about the 108 tourney. That's all I got to say. Other than, you guys are awesome. I'll keep listening. Go Sox. Bye.
Yeah, so we don't have to worry about the 108 tourney anymore. We hate ourselves for talking about it. I was so excited to earn Paul Correct's praise there about my point for Engel and the improved outfield defense. I was so excited about that, and then he brings me back around to reality. With my 108 obsession with Teresi, and I will beg to differ that I don't belong there. I need to go back and have someone crunch the numbers. Herb, you are our numbers guy here on the show.
I am the math guy here.
I would like to see, in terms of the votes that I was in, like who got the most votes in the tournament, like total. You know what I mean? Like Layla